It's toying with us again.
Oh.
Is that a Fiesta Bowl?
Yes, it is.
It's mine. Thank you. You know I collect that, right?
You do collect that?
Yeah, my mama did. And I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm rude. Hi, I'm Arwen, the professional joy seeker.
And I am Ember Honey Raven, the big fat. I am the fattest witch of all right now.
I got you beat on the weight, but we won't go there. And this is Bentley's Tale.
This is Bentley's Tale, and this is my very good cup of coffee, and hello. Hello!
Hello, darling. So, we're back after a short hiatus.
I'm actually raising you up so that I can see you better. There we go.
Oh, good.
Hello! You're taller now.
Yay. I'm going
Oh, yeah, Witchy Women Wednesday's been gone for a while.
It has, and I have missed the hell out of it.
I have too. Let's not go this long again.
Right. Now, Ember and I have not talked, of course. We have
we talk all the time.
And we have a lot of fun. We stay in touch. I'm putting cream on my hand in hopes that the cat will go away. But he's not. So anyway, it is, today I learned, is a grand cross in astrology. We're coming into a Cancer full moon.
Cancer moon.
And people are flipping their bitches out.
Cancer moons, I have my experience, and I think you will. Cancer moons bring out sensitivities and raise energies when it comes to the feelings.
Yeah, all the feels are out. And I've been having some issues with my feels being hurt by my husband doing things that were his shit. I mean, and I decided to get all butt hurt over it. And I'm like, whoa. Who is it that says check yourself before you wreck yourself?
Yeah, like every drag queen I've ever met.
Right? But yeah, it was. It's been a very feely time.
It has been. I had a little bit of that over the last couple of days myself. I have been feeling a little bit of, you know how when the winter comes and your heat's on and you shuffle across carpet and you get all static electricity and everything you touch kind of shocks you? Like, that's kind of how the feels have been. It's like, ooh, ooh, ooh. You kind of, you get shocked by things that you normally wouldn't pay attention to, maybe.
I watched a show. I watched this. It's an old show. It's called Lark Rise to Candleford, or Candleford to Lark Rise to Candleford. Old show. A couple of people from Downton Abbey are in it, and that's how I heard about it. Was people said, if you like Downton Abbey, you'll like this.
Phenomenal show.
Well, somebody dies in today's show. You know they're going to die. They foreshadow it like big, booming, huge clouds of doom over this one character, and you're like, oh, that one's getting checked out. I sobbed like a baby.
Oh,
Snot Kleenex were needed.
Yeah, all the feels. Cancer, cancer, cancer.
So what? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you know this. I have a lot of experience with cancers. I have dated and partnered with, in the long term, many, many cancers. Yes. My father is a cancer. 3 of my aunts are cancers. My sister is a cancer. My best friend in the whole wide world is a cancer. I have cancers all around me. And Virgos can sometimes have a need to check themselves, because Virgos are kind of blunt and they're not very socially graceful sometimes. So in cancers, when their feels are out, you have to be a little sensitive because they're sensitive.
Yeah, yeah.
That moon is a good reminder, too, that everybody is kind of on alert right now.
Right, and it's 3 days, y'all. So full moon isn't just the day of. It's the day before, the day and the day after. So today is actually a day of the full moon. Tomorrow, I believe, I think it's noonish my time. I don't remember, but I had written it down. I'm trying to turn my planner into a baby ephemeris. The woman that did the moon stickers, I'm chatting with her right now about astrological stickers.
Oh my God, that would be fabulous. So I actually have these sitting here because, okay, so, you and I both use the Leonie Dawson planners. Love, love, love them. My plan is to actually put these in my planner on my, months, because I I do like to remember and remind myself when the moon phases are happening, because not even just for spell work, but, Mercury Retrograde and things like that. And when people get a kind of a cuckoo la la around you and you can look and go, oh, it's full moon, or, oh, it's, when things start revving up and you're like, oh, it's waxing. So it's a good reminder. These stickers are beautiful, you guys. I was so impressed.
Yeah. She sent me, I have them in the other room. I was going to do a talk amongst yourself and run to get it, but I'm not going to do that because when it's a full moon and it's a water full moon, I will trip and break my leg on the way there, and then you'll just hear me squealing and wailing in the background. And Ember will be going, well, this Witchy Wisdom Wednesday will be cut short.
Yeah, and I would hope that I wouldn't laugh at my friend while she's writhing in pain. But, I'm one of those really terrible people that when I see someone fall, I have to stifle laughter because I am a faller. I'm clumsy, and I laugh at myself.
Me too. I have the worst time not laughing. True story, kid you not, at college, I went to a college called Centenary, and I lived in James Dorm, for those of you that are centenarians. Go, gents! But there were 3 fairly low steps, a landing, and 3 more steps, and these were the concrete outside steps that led down and up. I was walking out, I was a freshman. Thank you. I was walking out, and for whatever reason, I decided that I would try to walk through one of my ankles, I guess, and I somersaulted down, landed on the big wide thing, somersaulted down the next one, landed sitting straight up, and went, I'm okay. And I was. I had not scratched, bumped, or bruised a thing. And, of course, God and everybody was out at that time of day.
Oh, my God.
Right? So,
what can you do besides laugh at yourself? Oh, my God.
And I do remember some people laughed, and
oh, my gosh.
People are silly.
So, I love that you brought this up. So, you guys, Arwen and I, we wanted to kind of get back into our Witchy Women Wednesday because we enjoy these, too.
Yeah.
And we were kind of kicking around there. We've always got a ton of stuff to talk about, but Arwen suggested we talk about moon magic, and I was so excited about that. I thought that was an amazing topic. So I actually brought...
Oh, the bitch went and researched, y'all.
I brought some books.
I told you.
I brought some books. I just wanted to show people some really good resources. Yep. Well, hello, my Virgo is showing.
Let's show and tell. So, Miss Ember, do you have something to share with the class?
I have 3 books I want to show. So, for anyone who's not familiar, moon magic is simply the practice of magic to coincide with or during moon phases. Now, you actually do not have to practice ritual or magic on only the full moon. You can practice during a waxing or waning moon. We had a super moon last year that was the only time probably in our lifetime that we will see, or super blood moon. So moon magic is actually, some people like to do their spell work around moon magic. You don't have to. It's not a requirement. But I have found that my certain types of spells are more effective for me. So the first book I ever read on moon magic, say what you will, this one's by DJ Conway. It's Moon Magic. Some people love this book. Some people hate it. I will say what I say about every book that people love or hate. Read it and decide for yourself. I do have, there is some information in here that I have found to be factually incorrect. So, Arwen is being very nice. So, this is one that I would probably not recommend this one as your first moon magic book. There are some good things in here, but it should not be your primary resource. No offense to DJ Conway, but wasn't my favorite. This can be bought used, you guys, on lots of different places for like $2 or $3.
HalfPriceBooks.com.
Yep, half price. The other one that I actually kind of did enjoy, you guys know I love Elaine McCoy. This one is Lady of the Night. This is a handbook of moon magic and rituals. I found this one to be really delightful. Elaine McCoy is, her writing is really accessible. It's in a voice that you can hear, and it's nice. She includes a lot of different ways to scry. It's actually kind of creative the way that she presents it. So this one I actually, and there's enough graphics in here that you can kind of, pick and choose what you need. But I've used this one multiple times, so this is a good one. The last book I brought in here, and these are not all my moon books, but this one I found to be a really good resource. This is not centered on the moon, but the constellations. This one's by Sandra Kynes. This is Star Magic.
Oh, neat.
So I feel like if you're going to educate yourself on moon magic, it probably is not a bad idea to educate yourself on constellations and star patterns in general.
Yeah. Yeah. I think something that we forget is that moon magic is it can be really complicated. It can be as simple as you make it.
Yep.
There are certain, you'll read spells. You'll pick up a book and it said this spell must be done on a Friday at noon under a full moon while standing on one foot and spitting to the south.
Yes.
And what you need to understand about spells, guys, is that the spells are working on us as the reader, right? So if I tell you flat out that if you want to be prosperous in 2017, you need to clip the nails of a female Basenji on the third Thursday of January and save those nail clippings, and as each prosperity dream comes true, take it out and bury it.
Yep.
Who's to say it won't work if you believe it?
Right.
I
appreciate you saying that, because I have said before, and I've gotten some flack for this, but I have said before that, magic really is a lot of psychosomatic work. Some of it is the power of positive thinking. Some of it is setting your mind and setting your intention. I don't know anyone, and I am certainly not a person who can pick up a stick and make sparkles come out the end of it and transform someone into an owl. If you're that kind of witch, bully for you. This is where Arwen is going to wave her wand and bibbity bobbity boo. It is setting intention. It is, it is pushing your mind forward in a way that sets your body to a positive motion.
If you study the law of attraction, right, it's opening channels, it's being open to, and it's calling energy in.
Yes.
Who was it? Was it not Asimov, but, oh crap, it might have been Asimov, who said advanced technology is somebody else's magic, something like that. But I'm not saying it right, but
It might have been him.
I think it's misattributed to him, but I think it's somebody else. But I could almost see it, like almost the guy that did the Cosmos. That's who did it. Dang it. Anyway,
this is a brain fart, you guys.
Right? I'll be 56 in 2.5 months. So.
Because Arwen old as hell.
But when you do magic, when I was taught something called the Witch's Pyramid. Mm-hmm. And it has 4 sides. Think about that for a minute. How many sides do you see on a pyramid?
You normally see the 3. You think of it as a triangle. You normally see the 3.
There's 4.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that pyramid, and it's all over the place, so I'm not revealing anything. It's to dare, and that's to dare to work the magic, to know what you're doing and how to do it, to will, to put your intention into it, and that 4th one, to keep silent. And that's the biggest one that I see go awry from my old and vaunted position as an old woman. Not really. But, and I do it myself. I'll say, well, I just did a spell for blah, 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 blah. And I just watched you do your New Year's intention spell work. You didn't reveal everything. You didn't talk about everything that was going in. You showed off the things that most of us are going to think of, right?
Right.
But you didn't reveal all. And I think that's super important, because when you hold on to something in your head, when you keep thinking about that spell, you've never fully released it. You've never fully kissed it and let it go. And so, and when you're working with moon magic, the thing that a lot of us don't think about are full moon magic. The day before, you want to increase something. the day of, pull all that power in. The day after, that's a decreasing magic.
Release. Yep.
Right, so you want to do your weight loss spells. Then you want to do your exercise gain spells on day before.
Yes.
And your release spells on the day after. Same with prosperity magic, you know. Release, a person I know told me the best money spell ever. And the first line of it is, make a budget.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got to do your physical work. But the prosperity spells, you know, release your need to need things. That's what you...
That is exactly, you read my mind. That is exactly what I was going to say. People, I encourage people to remember that when you're releasing things, let's say it's the day after and we're going to, we want to do a money spell and we've forgotten to do it on the waxing because we want to increase our money. Remember that releasing can work both in a positive and negative way. So that is a great example of saying, well, I didn't do the increase my money, but I can release my urge to spend, release my urge to buy things I don't need, release my binge eating, you can do the yin and the yang of a release just like you can an increase.
Yeah.
Increase, conversely, increase my money. You could also increase my willpower around money, increase my willpower to not spend. Mm-hmm. You can do it both ways. So just be creative with your spells. Be creative with the way you think about them.
Yeah. And don't limit yourself. Let's just say it's 5 days from today and you're watching this video. Where the hell have you been? It's 5 days. But anyway, and you're like, oh, wow, I really need to do a spell, that's a prosperity-oriented spell. Oh, do it. Go ahead and do it. Yeah, you're on the waning side of the moon, and you wax in, right? Wax and wane. So I used to always get those mixed up.
I tend to think of the Mr. Miyagi. You know how Mr. Miyagi in Karate Kid was wax on, wax off? Wax on is when you're turning things on. The wax off, the waning side, is when you're turning things off. Yeah. Now, again, don't get too linear and think, oh, that's only for things that I'm pushing away from me, because the wax off can bring things toward you depending on your intention. So
right. And intention is a huge thing. I watch a lot of different people here on YouTube, and I actually on Skype, I'm kind of a float in, float out, say hi, goodbye member of a Skype witch group. Right before I called you, I was reading some of the stuff in there, and they were talking about Alvine. She's over in Australia.
Yes, Alvine Green.
I adore her. And apparently I've missed some videos. Sorry, Alvine. But she was talking about taking a bowl and filling it with stones on the full moon, and then each day take a stone out.
Yes, brilliant.
Right? It's a physical reminder of where the moon is. You don't have to do what I do and say, hey, Alexa, what's the moon phase?
Right. Or do what I do. I use the moon app, the one that sends you kind of creepy messages throughout the day.
Oh, my God, I've got that on my phone. And it'll sometimes just turn up and say, I'm growing silent tonight.
Yes, or it will say, I feel much larger today than I did yesterday. And you're like, well, so do I, bitch.
Right? I try to see if I can find it on here, if I have a moon message that I can show y'all.
Yeah, I think it's just called The Moon. And I got that app because
go ahead.
I did want to remember. I did want an easy way to check in, but it is easy. You can ask Siri, you can ask Alexa, like they always know.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, it looks like full moon was 100% today, so I'm sorry, but this is what it looks like.
Yes, it's kind of beautiful.
It's a gorgeous, gorgeous, I'm trying to...
I think that's a free app too, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and I just can't remember what it's actually called. I have it on weather. Not moon phase. I have moon phase, and if you... let me see if we can do it. No, it's got tomorrow as the full moon, but let me see if I can get it to do it. Oh, damn it.
I'm looking. Let me see.
It's not doing it.
Mine just says moon.
Yeah, this is moon phase. I have moon and moon phase, but this one, it's not doing it. When you touch the full moon, it does the werewolf howl.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Right. And this one talks about full moon at 4:35 a.m. And I believe this is geared towards my time. So, but we're still in the full moon period.
We are in it. We are in it. Tell me what your feelings are, because you are a person, you're very familiar with the zodiac. You're very familiar with tarot. Give me your opinion on whether or not you think that moon phases affect certain signs differently.
Yeah, well, sure. Sure they do. Because we're more than our sun sign. You're more than a Virgo.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
There's 12 houses. There's 12 planets. There's 10 planets. I count the moon and Earth.
Yes.
That makes it, never mind. 9 with the moon. 10 with the moon. Oh, fuck. But anyway, yeah, I think it does because, and it depends, like a Cancer moon, those who have Cancer moons are probably full, glowing, just beautiful with this energy. I have a Scorpio moon, so I've got a water moon. So I'm like, yeah, I can feel this energy. I like that water energy going on. And a Cancer sun, who has something like a fire moon, let's say, they're going to feel a little conflicted during a Cancer moon to me, because all that emotional stuff's hitting their fire, and their sun sign is going, let's go, and their moon sign's going, screw this. It's wet. So it really depends on, you need to have your chart and know your chart. I always tell people, get your transits done. Even if you do it as a one-time a year for your birthday and look at your transits for the year, I think it's invaluable. You know,
I used to have a little joke with someone who I dated who was a Cancer, and she was Cancer. She was Cancer through and through and through. Her sun sign, her everything. She was so Cancer. And every time a full moon came around, I would laugh and go, it's time for moon madness, because she would be just ape shit with energy. Like, her eyes would get as big as dinner plates, and she would run around just kind of crazed with it. She was really frantic with the energy, and it was always kind of funny because you could tell that she was just really affected. And I knew that if she started, being really manic or doing crazy shit or just giggling to herself, I'm like, it's more than likely a full moon.
When I worked in customer service, invariably, we got the crazier calls around the full moon.
Yes.
I just, and people are like, oh, that's not real. I'm here to tell you it is. Just like people who say Mercury Retrograde doesn't affect them, that's fine.
Well, good for them, but it's a thing.
It affects me, and it affects a lot of people that I know. It also depends where you're born under a Mercury retrograde, where you're not. They're 3 times a year. It's a really good chance you have Mercury retrograde in your chart.
Yep.
So, but yeah, the zodiac and tarot for me during a full moon, I used to do full moon readings. I used to always do a reading on the full moon. I've kind of gotten out of that habit, but I was doing my month ahead readings. So, and as a witch, for me, I know I'm going to sound evangelical, and I'm just going to have to go there. Standing outside under a full moon with my coven, there's nothing in this world like it for me. Nothing.
Right.
It's beautiful. It's all full. It's an amazing experience. I'm still in touch with many of the people from, I had 3 covens that I participated in. One, I was a teaching coven that I led. One was just a communal coven that I was also high priestess of, and the other was a community coven where we went in and out as to who was going to lead the covens. And in our communal coven, or in the coven where we weren't the teaching coven, we still switched in and out and let other people lead, because it's kind of boring to always be the one having to lead and plan. Mm-hmm. I like to participate. But our moons, the coven I trained in, I was forgetting that coven, but the coven I trained in, we did a new moon, we did a full moon, and we did our Sabbats. So we did our Esbats, which were the moons, and our Sabbats.
Right.
We were a circling bunch of witches.
Did you find that I've heard the term, and I think I've even used this term myself because it does feel that way. When the moon is full and she's kind of fat and plump and bright in the sky, I've heard people, and I've done this myself, say, I'm going to do a moon bath. You know, you go outside, sometimes you're sky clad if you have that ability, or not. But, you know, you just kind of go out and just, you intake all of that energy and all of that light, and you really do bathe, kind of like people sunbathe. You kind of just absorb some of that. And I know there are covens who really, when they do ritual around that, they do think of it as a moon bath. They do think of it as ingesting that energy. Have you thought of it that way, or do you feel it's just a blanket of energy that envelops us, or do you feel like we can soak that up?
I think we can soak it up. I've never called it a moon bath. I love that word. I love it a lot. But I go out and, you know, and I'm like, I draw down, I draw that energy into me, and drawing down in my path is a very specific term.
Speaking of which, I'm currently rereading this again.
Drawing down
book. This, you guys, this is actually not about moon magic, but it does encompass basically everything you would ever want to know. It's an overview, but this is by Margot Adler, Drawing Down the Moon. It is pretty much the Bible for witches.
It's one of my required reading for anybody that's a student of mine. They're going to read that. It's one of the first books they're going to read. Yes. Margot left us, what, 2 or 3 years?
3 years ago, I think.
Yeah. But her grandfather was Benjamin Adler. Mm-hmm. And if you're a psychology major, you know that name. And if you're not, look him up.
Look him up. He's fascinating.
Yeah. But for his granddaughter, she was an NPR journalist. She wrote other books, I think, but that's the only one I could tell you offhand.
She did, I want to say, I'm going to look because you have got me curious now, and I want to say she did a series of not like TED Talks, but something to that effect, or maybe it was a radio show. I don't remember what other book.
She had a radio show. She had one on NPR.
Yeah, she did. God, and the New York Times they gave her an amazing review for this book. I want to say she did have another book. I don't remember either, but this one is phenomenal. This is my second cover-to-cover read-through, and I'm on page 450, so yeah. It's worth it. It's a good refresher, and you will learn a lot about the history of paganism and goddess worshippers, druids, anything you've ever wanted to know, basically.
Yeah, and Margot Adler, I actually had the pleasure of being in a room with her. I can't say I worked with her. Wow. Because if you've heard me tell the tornado story, when Margot and Z Budapest were leading a circle of women dancing in joy, and I am under the table shrieking in my head, fuck, we're going to get killed. Yeah, my little witchy self had fled the building, and Lizard Brain had taken over, and we were under the table. So 5 tornadoes hit around where we were, but none hit us. But it was an amazing, I met Pat Parker at that.
Oh, nice.
Oh, and, crap. I can't think of her name, but I met another poet there. Not Maya Angelou, but somebody along those lines. And it was just like one of those blow your lid off festivals, because everybody seemed to be there. It's a National Women's Music Festival, for those who want to know, some years ago. Obviously, since Pat's gone.
I believe you might have had a photo at that, and I believe I saw that photo. Is that where that one was taken at with the blue?
No. That was Pagan Spirit Gathering.
Okay. You guys, I've known Arwen a very long time.
And what Ember is talking about is is that a cat? That's a cat. Okay, sorry. What Ember is talking about is my coven went to Pagan Spirit Gathering, and everybody does workshops and rituals, and it's an educational experience. And we had planned, my high priestess and the majority of our coven were doing the talk about Celts and woad and headhunting and why they took their enemies' heads and things of this nature. And my coven sib Bran and I were back at our camp with, I guess, 2 or 3 of our rest of our coven, and they were covering us in blue tempera paint. We were butt naked. And then they do black tattoos. They put yellow in our hair so it looked like lime. We creep around the backside of the workshop and come screaming, and I mean, ah! Out of the bushes. Selena Fox was participating in that. Just about fell out of her chair. She laughed so hard. Nobody was scared. And later, I scared a small child because I forgot I was still painted, and I did childcare there. And I saw one of my kids. I'm like, hi, and she like went, ah! And I'm like, what happened? And her dad was like, you're still made up. And I went, oh, sorry. So when I smiled, you have black lips. Not a good thing for this baby. I hope she doesn't have nightmares still. But that's it. So somebody took a picture of us, y'all, and I can't find it anymore, but somewhere there's a picture of me. I mean, head to toe blue, and I am Woad Warrior Princess.
Yes, and I believe it said on the Woad again.
Yeah, probably.
Arwen is the queen of puns.
I'm pretty sure that was Brand's fault because we were singing on the Woad again.
Oh my gosh. So let me just ask you this because I really like comparing notes on this. Have you found that, much like the thinning of the veil during Samhain, have you found that your access to the messages that you receive, and you guys, for anybody who has been living in Narnia, Arwen tends to be a conduit, even sometimes non-consensually, for messages and the other side. And it's happened with me. She will end up accidentally channeling, but she kind of, she's a door, and sometimes things and people step through it. Have you found that the moon cycles affect your ability to access that, or even affect your ability to shut the door?
Yes, when shut the door. I think that's a better way of phrasing it, that people tend to just come through. Just like, I need so-and-so to have a message, or, if I'm texting somebody, I think I texted you and said, and she wants to know if you finished that thing. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. I was doing a reading for somebody just the other day, and what showed up was, it was the weirdest thing I've ever had, because it was just a red strip, just like a long red ribbon. Straight, it didn't move, but that's all I saw. Normally I'll get some sort of visual, and it's not that I see, Grandpa standing in the corner, but I get, your grandmother popped in on me that one time.
Yes, she did.
But I'll usually get, like, all of a sudden I have a memory of having seen somebody that I've never actually seen. It's the best way I can describe it. But yeah, when the moon's full, you can hear the spirits go, ain't no stopping us now.
Yep.
It's like the Supremes have started up. And I don't mind it anymore. I used to mind it a lot.
Well, it wears you out. It drains you.
And it scares the crap out of me. Because, I will tell people, and they always laugh when I say it, I believe in the occult. I don't necessarily want to participate in it.
Right.
And I actually mean that. Because there are times when you just want to go have a normal life.
You do. And, I am not a conduit. I certainly have had some experiences that were really non-consensual, and I have certainly I've had a recent experience, actually, within the last year, where I walked in to a building to go do something really specific, and I walked in, and I just went, ooh, 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 I do not know what's in here, but I don't want any part of this. And it was just kind of that icky feeling. I was at someone's house just 2 weeks ago, our friend in Memphis, and we were visiting with each other, and that person, how are you? That person had some items from another person who is not a good person, and we were kind of trying to figure out how to go about dispensing of those things. And when they opened the closet, it was kind of that whole wave of ick came out, and they had stored things properly. They had done some barriers of their own and, saged and everything. But even those items were very, they held a lot of energy. And I kind of got sick to my stomach a little bit. And I said, oh, we're going to have to, we put everything away. And I said, I'm sick. I feel really icky. I feel pretty gross. So we backed out of the room, and it felt really non-consensual, because you think that you have to invite those things to wash over you. And no, it's like the ocean. It's going to do what it wants. I have found that those experiences, not for myself necessarily, but I've heard a lot of people talk about, they will actually have a lot more of those during certain times of the moon cycle, especially during waxing, that things that are opening. Mm-hmm. They'll have messages, they'll have more prophetic dreams. I've heard people talk about astral projection, and that their ability to astral project is greater during certain times of the moon. So I do think that there's a lot of intersection with different types of magic. I particularly like to scry at different times of the moon cycle. Mm-hmm. So you're getting something.
Feathers, red and black.
Yep.
You will get your voice back.
I'm doing it, Mama. I am doing it.
But
yes.
That's it. Feathers, red and black. You will get your voices back.
Yes, I'm doing it, Mama. I'm doing it. Yeah. Arwen and I, and this is how she looks when she kind of has this like, oh my God, something is on me, and okay, I'm doing it. She has been giving me a message for several months now, because I'm a big procrastinator, and I really need to do a very specific thing for my Patron Goddess, and she is getting a little irritated with me because I keep putting other and it does involve feathers, and I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Make sure it's red and black, and use that incantation. She wants you to use that. Feathers, red and black. I will get my voices back, and it's voices. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, I know exactly I know exactly what she wants. It's weird too, because my matron goddess came to me during a full moon. Well, she came to me multiple times. The first time she came to me was during a full moon. And, I've talked about my experiences with how she came to me several different times. But I also kind of wonder if other people have paid attention to how they've met who they're going to be working with, and if it does happen during a certain moon cycle.
I don't remember when I've been called by two. I was actually one just basically told me she was done with me for that time, and I was going to the other one. And I didn't know who the other one was. I don't remember what the moon was, but I remember very clearly that I had 3 different incidences with birds. Mm-hmm. One, a cardinal went like that close in front of my windshield. I should have hit it, but I didn't. The other one was with another unusual grouping of birds. And then I was at a bookstore with actually 2 of my students that I was teaching, and we were just at the bookstore. We were actually in the cozy mystery aisle. And a book fell off the bookshelf. And I'm talking, I was here. The book that fell off was a good 5 feet away. There was nobody on the other side. And my students both went. Because when I picked it up, and I will never forget the name, it was Lillian Jackson Brahm, the cat who sings with birds. I think, but it's something the cat who, and it was a bird. So it was, and I was like, okay, I understand that you got a bird thing going on, but you're gonna have to get a little clearer. And she did. And I figured out, and that's who I've been working with since. But there's been some indication that I've been getting booted back to the first goddess. So we'll see what's going on with that.
I think it's interesting, too. There are certain, and this is a tiny bit off topic, but I'll bring it back around. I do think that there are some goddesses who are a little bit stingy with their people. They do not want you going out from under their wing. However, I have noticed that even with the very tightly controlled, stingy goddesses, if you're not getting a message from them and they are beating their own head against a wall and they beat you over the head with it and you're still being a dumbass about it, they will sometimes take another form. They will sometimes, because here's the thing, and I don't know if you agree with this, but, we tend to think of our goddesses and the ways in which we worship as separate entities, and they are on a level, but they all come from the supreme. They all come from the divine. And I do think of Mama as she's her own entity, but she does take other forms. I tried to work with Santissima Muerte 3 years ago, and you know, I thought I was working with her for a few weeks, and I realized, oh, that's actually not you at all. The energy was very, very, very similar. But the message that I had to get was, you need to stop looking outside of me, because there's going to be no one else for you. But I'll go ahead and take this form and let you do what you think you need to do, because you're not getting the message.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love coming back around with that. I do think that sometimes they will come to us, or there will be messages sent during certain phases of the moon, because again, we're more receptive during certain phases. Again, which is based on our sign sometimes.
And do you find that working with your lady that she prefers dark moon to full moon, or new moon to half moon,
You know, it has varied. She does tend to like the dark moon. I'm gonna tell you something. That super blood moon, wowza. Woo! That bitch was loud. I was up all night. I literally did not go to bed until the sun came up, because I did my I had a gank of stuff out there charging, and I had a lot of work to do. And I looked up, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, okay, I've got to get to bed. I went to go get in bed, and my eyes just would not shut, because my brain wouldn't shut up. And I thought, okay, maybe there's other things I need to do. And I got up and worked in my grimoire, and she had a lot of work for me to do. Yeah. Extremely active. And, I think that the blood moon specifically kind of was what reawakened. We had a period of, wasn't a period of silence, but it was a period of whisper. Mm-hmm. She was quiet. I think she knew I needed that.
You had other work that had to be done before you could come back to her work.
I really did. And, it was a lot of physical and emotional work. And it was like, okay, daughter, I've given you the tools you need. You need to now use them. You cannot always be in my nest with me. So, dark moon, though, she's loud. And, I would love to get Joey. I'd like to get Joey's input on that, because I don't know how Joey has accessed her. That's another thing, too. I'm a big fan of, just because I access her one way does not mean that everybody else accesses her that way. Yeah. That may be when I'm the most receptive, because there's always two tangoing. So.
Exactly. And I think that's the other thing. I keep running into people who are really proprietary.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
About their deity. That's lovely, guys, but there's a lot more of us than there are of these archetypes, whatever you want to call them. Yeah. And it's my belief that our energy, our worship feeds these deities, and they become more powerful. And I think that's why we're seeing them more. I've noticed a plethora of war and battle and death gods and goddesses out there in the worship zone, if you will. And sometimes, and this is going to be...
No, go there. Touchy, go there.
It's a lot of, my God is bigger than your God, and he can beat you up. Kind of stuff going on out there.
It is power dynamics, too, for people who, and this is going to be bitchy of me, but I'm going to go there, too. I think that sometimes when people feel personally disempowered, they will create these scenarios and stories where a Hathor or Hecate or the Morrigan came to them and wanted them in their army, and you're thinking, bullshit. Because you're actually not emotionally strong enough to work with a goddess like that. I'm not saying that you have to be emotionally strong, because I have certainly been a mess with my mama, and they're there to help you. But I think that sometimes people will want to work with gods and goddesses like that because of things that you're talking about. It feels powerful, but Gaia is just as powerful. Brigitte is just as powerful. Some of the more flowery, flowy, softer goddesses. And, people need to watch, because sometimes people think of Gaia as a flowery goddess. And, hello, if you've never been bitten by her, then you will not understand. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And all gods and goddesses have layers for me. And
Yes.
I am one that believes in the void. From the void comes one. From the one comes two. From the two come many.
Yes.
So that's kind of, and I will sometimes just work with themselves. And in my head, it's just he and she.
Yes.
There's no Greek, Celtic, Egyptian, Sumerian. There's nothing but he and she, themselves, the old ones.
Yes.
And for me, it works very well. Other people need more context, and I get that. When I was in the Christian faith, I was raised Episcopalian. And I went to a Methodist church, and I will never forget sitting there and going, how do they know what's happening? There's no pomp and circumstance. There's no visual signals. I didn't know. Because in the Episcopal faith, it's kneel, sit, stand.
Right.
Kneel to pray, sit to listen, stand to sing.
Right.
And you knew what was happening based on what was. So it was really weird to me as a young woman, or actually a young girl, to go to that and think. And I think part of my thing was like, how does God know what's going on?
Right.
But it's in the pagan faith for me. If you're in my coven, if you are my student, then yes, there are rules and regulations on how you enter circle. There are rules and regulations on how you call a quarter. Because ritual is supposed to do that. Ritual is done so that when you do your rituals, you probably have, if you think about it, you probably have 2 to 4 steps that you do even before you get to the circle, even before you get to lighting candles, that are putting you into that ritual mind state. When I go to a full moon, I'm going in with an expectation of one energy. When I'm going to a dark moon ritual, I'm going with another expectation. But I enter those circles having done the exact same things before I come to circle.
Right.
And I would love to do circle with you your way and then have you do circle with me with my way so that we can experience them.
I think we're going to get that chance because, I mentioned last year about doing something called Wild Witch in the Woods. That is still something that I intend to make happen. I have to get through a couple of situations before I'm going to be able to do anything because I have very involved legal process to get through that probably will be done sometime this year. So I'm going to shoot for 2018. But I would love to have a space at an accessible space, a campground that has cabins so that the delicate people among us can get a cabin or stay in a hotel or tent camp if that's what they want. Mm-hmm. And so that we can experience circle and have maybe some mini classes and give people a place to sell their wares and have a marketplace. And, if people want to bring their guitars, I'd like for us to have some kind of meetup like that. And I think that would be wonderful for us to experience the way each other practices. You mentioned something that I want to go back to really quick because I think this is really important. I really appreciate the fact that you mentioned that, when it comes to pantheons, the Sumerian, the Egyptian, all of the places that the ways and people that we worship, and I'm saying people, but entities, energies, however you want to say it, come from. You basically have laid the groundwork for saying it's okay to mix pantheons because they're all the divine he or the divine she. And I appreciate that because I know that there have been some discussion, lively and concerned discussion all over Facebook and in some of the websites that I've seen where you're not supposed to mix pantheons. You have to pick one and go there. And I don't believe that. I think that however your center of worship evolves, you're allowed to do that however you want.
I would caveat that with, I have been in a circle where the deities invoked were so polarly opposite.
Yes.
The entire circle, and everybody felt it. We all came out of it going, ha, ha, ha. It was just like grating. It was almost like that, when two dogs stand there and they're like.
Was it two people invoking? Yeah. I think that is a great caveat because I can definitely see how, I tend to work with mostly female energy. And I can tell you right now that it has been my experience that Mama Morrigan does not mix well. She doesn't play well with some forms of energy. I think that, and I don't think it's because she's one of the big badass goddesses. I think that there are just certain ways in which she comes through that are not compatible with other goddesses. So yeah, that's actually a great caveat.
I mean, it would be like invoking the Morrigan and Kuan Yin into the same circle.
Not happening. I mean, it can happen, but it would be frantic as fuck. Like, you wouldn't even, I mean, it's like, how do you even get those two energies to blend, you know?
Right, because they're very different. Now, Sekhmet and the Morrigan, I could absolutely see coming in at the same time. But let's come back to moon magic a little bit, because we're coming up on the hour, and you know how I am about that little hour time.
Yes, she is punctual. I am not.
The Arwen doesn't really enjoy videos that go on for 25 hours. What's your one best full moon story?
Oh, God. The one that comes to mind, and I don't know why I need to tell people that if you're working on the dark moon, smoky quartz. I don't know who needs that, but that's something that I cannot stop freaking thinking of. So whoever wanted to ask that, smoky quartz, okay? Can we stop it now? Best full moon story. This actually, you guys, I used to go to a lot of concerts back in the day, and this was when I was much younger, and I grew up in a small town, and a lot of the only entertainment was going out to the power lines. And if anybody has ever lived in a very rural area and you know what going out to the power lines entails, it usually entails a bunch of young people drinking and cutting up and just going ape shit out in the middle of the woods, basically. This is a funny story, but also kind of a tale of caution. I was 19 years old. I was out at the power lines. We had just gotten back from an Aerosmith concert. I was drunker than Cooter Brown on Purple Passion. And we were out at the power lines, and there were people that had their guitars out there, and people were kind of running around. It was a full moon. And someone had started the erroneous rumor that if you got drunk on a full moon, you wouldn't have a hangover. So we proceeded to test that theory. And I got so drunk that I crawled into the back of a pickup truck to sleep it off. I woke up the next morning, 47 miles from home. And I literally, the sun was beating down. I woke up, and by the way, that rumor that they started was bullshit, because I woke up with the worst hangover of my life. And I literally sat, I kind of was on my stomach, and I lifted myself up, and I looked around, and I was in a neighborhood parked in someone's driveway. And I was like, I don't know what any of this is. I don't know where I'm at, you know. I looked down, in the night, I had taken my pants off, and they were in the front yard, next to a big spot where I had apparently peed.
Awesome.
And had, you know, so I did the only thing I could think of, and I jumped down, I grabbed my pants and put them on, and I went and knocked on the front door. And this man he had a beard and a mustache, and he was an older man. He came to the front door, and I was still drunk the next morning, by the way. I go, "Do you know me?" And he looks at me and he goes, "No, ma'am, I don't believe I do." And I go, "Does anybody live here who might know me?" And he said, "Well, I do have a son." And I said, "Well, can I see him?" And he said, "Well, he's in the bed asleep." So I went and I asked the guy, I asked the guy, "By the way, where am I?" He said, "You are in BB, Arkansas."
Girl.
BB, Arkansas was literally 50 miles from where I went to high school. And I thought, oh shit, this is not good. So I went in the house, I went back to the bedroom, and some boy who I don't remember meeting, I didn't know who he was. I looked at him and I go, "What am I doing here?" And he was like, "You must have fell asleep in the back of my truck. I drove you home, blah, blah." It was very surreal. And yeah, I had to do the walk of shame. I had to call my dad to come get me in BB, Arkansas. And I mean, I had moved out of the house. I had been out of the house for 3 years by that point. But I didn't know where my car was or anything like that. So just word to the wise, don't get so full moon crazy, and definitely don't believe the fact that you won't have a hangover if you drink. I have other full moon stories, but that is the cautionary tale.
Now, y'all, YouTube, my darlings, I was actually asking our darling Ember her best magical full moon incident, but I got to agree with her. Don't do that.
That's the first one that came to mind.
Oh my God. I don't, the only thing I can think of, and this wasn't in circle, it was just an incident that happened during a full moon. I was walking, I lived in Bowling Green, Ohio, and hi Corky, if you're watching this, I'll tag you in the Facebook. I was walking over to my friend Corky's house. I don't remember why. Corky's a wonderful potter. But I looked up, and there's the full moon over her house, and sitting on the eave of her house is the biggest freaking great horned owl I can remember ever seeing at that point in my life. And I talked to it, and I pretend I know how to hoot like an owl, so I went, ho, 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 ho. And it answered me. So I'm standing outside Corky's, and what I don't know, I think Corky and her girlfriend were probably watching me through the door, laughing their asses off. But this owl and I went back and forth for a little bit. And I just felt like, I am the best witch in the world.
You are the owl whisperer.
Right? But yeah, so I really think it was part of that just whole mystical, the moon fills you up.
Yes.
And here's my deal on the moon. And I tell this to my people when I'm reading for them. I may have told you this. When I pull the moon card out for you, I remind you that what you see in moonlight doesn't look the same in sunlight. Mm-hmm. If tomorrow at noon, go out and read a page of a book. At night, when the moon is full and out, and it's clear and lighting everything up, where you can see your own shadow, go try to read that page. The light's different. Yeah. So remember that when you're working with moon energy, you want to be clear. You want to have your emotions engaged, but you want to be clear about what it is you want, don't need, don't need. Because that's a really powerful energy.
It is. I think that's a really beautiful way to say it, too. And I think the way that I interpret that card is kind of similar. I think of the moon card as the beer goggles card.
Oh, nice.
If anybody knows about beer goggles, it's when you're at the bar and you're drinking a little much and you get beer goggles and someone looks real good to you, and maybe later when you sober up, you look at them and you're like, oh, that is not what I thought you looked like at all. I think of the moon card as beer goggles. Everything does look different in the moonlight. Not necessarily a bad or a good thing.
Right.
But it's good to see, it's good to look at the other side of the picture a lot of times. All has not been revealed.
Yeah. And do your little moon tips. I've got a friend who gets her hair cut only on the new moon because she wants her hair to grow.
Grow faster. Yep.
Take your folding bills out and unfold them and fan through them in the light of the full moon to increase them. I'm trying to think what other full moon things I have. I have a scrying stone. If I was outside, one thing you can do is to scry, you start with the moon here and you watch it travel across. Oh, look, you can see Ember in it.
Hello.
And I have a scrying bowl, which is, I can actually see it, but I can't get to it. But it's a bowl that was created by a potter. It's black. You fill it with water, and again, you're watching the moon travel. And one of the things you do is you're doing your work during that time, so it's like a metaphysical clock almost.
Nice. I love that. That's beautiful. Yeah. I want to point out, too, that a lot of people... there are dozens of videos on YouTube about people charging things under the moon to fill it up with energy. It is a great time to make spiritual waters, moon waters. It's a great time to charge oils. It is a great time to charge crystals. It is a great time to the moon energy can be really cleansing too. So if you have had some ick happen around your tarot cards, if you've think of the moon bath. I mean, it's a way to magically cleanse something. I actually used that when I was moving to my new place. I had some items that had some energy attached to them that I really just didn't want to bring in, and moon cleansing was part of what I did to kind of remove that and make things feel fresh. And it's kind of like a spring cleaning for your items.
And for me, I would do it the day before, day of, day after. That's just how I was taught. I'm sad that I wasn't paying attention. This is my, you know who made this.
I sure do, and it is absolutely beautiful.
It's gorgeous, gorgeous. It fits like it was made for my hand fits.
I love that it looks like an old gnarly finger. It's gorgeous.
What's funny is when the maker of this guy's, I'll put their Square Shop down, but it's Ravenflower Designs. And the maker told me to pick the blank, and I kept picking the blank that was the auction item.
Yes.
I mean, like, I kept going, no, that's the one I want. And finally was told, you can't have that when you lost the auction. Oh, yeah. Ember and I think it was Lady Gravedancer, and
a lot of people.
I don't remember who. I don't remember what her magical name is.
Trina might have been in that one, and there were a lot of us.
We ran that sucker up.
That was a very high demand item.
It was, and this is the reason why. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece. It's gorgeous, and you'll be able to go and pick a blank and then talk with the maker about what you want on the wand. They're not going to be finished. So basically, when you go to the site, I'm actually probably going to link you to their Facebook. You're just going to go and message them and say, hey, I want to talk to you about a wand. You know, they are not cheap. They shouldn't be cheap.
They shouldn't be. They're artisan. I mean, they're uniquely made. And the person, I'm going to say this, Ravenflower is amazing. Her husband is amazing, and he is, his energy is really, he's a kind, gentle, soulful, but
scary motherfucker.
Scary motherfucker. He's kind and gentle, but I would not fuck with him. And anything that I think he's a craftsman anyway. He makes beautiful things of all kinds. He's done pottery. He paints. He does graphic design. I'm actually wearing the T-shirt.
You are.
Yes. He is a beautiful artisan, and so anyone interested in something like that, he can custom make anything. Like, he makes beautiful things, and they are artisanal, one-of-a-kind items you will own the rest of your life.
Yeah. I've had wands before. In fact, I've got one of my other... No, I don't. But this one, as much as I love that other one, this is going to be my working item now. I haven't charged it. I haven't consecrated it yet, so... That's one of the reasons I keep waving it all the way around. But, so, what I'd like to ask our viewers is this. If you've got a topic you'd like to hear us yap about on Witchy Wednesday, leave us a comment. Let us know.
I don't think anything is off limits either. I think we would pretty much be willing to discuss anything. We're not going to talk about the ways in which we have sex or what kind of tampons we use or anything like that. So be reasonable. But magically, I don't think anything's off limits. We've also had videos where we just sit and volleyball back and forth and ask each other questions, and those have been really popular. So
yeah, who did that? Was that Chaotic This and That sent us that list?
Chaotic This and That, you guys, has an amazing channel. So if you haven't checked it out, please check him out. He's so sweet. But he compiled a big list of questions for us, and it was so good.
I don't think we finished it.
I don't think we did. We probably can go back and revisit that because there are some really good ones on there.
Yeah, he really had. He was very insightful. He'd make an excellent journalist.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We've gone 5 minutes over. Arwen's a little touchy.
Don't panic.
I'm hoping to do another. I'm hoping to get CR on here, Witchy Bear.
Nice. Well, we will kind of try to keep to a schedule for Witchy Women Wednesday. I will put a link in the I'm going to make a tiny little video, stick it on my channel, and direct people over here, and so people can get subscribed. You guys, if you haven't already, check out Arwen's other videos because she does free tarot scopes. Free every week. Free. oh my God, and they're amazing and they're well done. And she also does readings. I know you don't ask for me to do that, but she also does amazing readings. So if you're in the market for a new reading for the new year, if you need some direction or some guidance, this is an amazing time to get that done.
Thank you so much, baby. And
yes.
We know that we have big things coming from the EHR side of the pond. So
we sure do.
Can't wait for those. And I'm getting a message that June, July should be the cut point. So
I was hoping that. Yep. Yes.
Oh, and yeah, I'll give you the date number. I'm not going to do that online. No.
Is it kind of?
No, it's energy telling me.
Oh. No, not online, because then people will hold me to it.
I'm not doing that. No, I'll tell her.
We appreciate you guys watching us, though. We really enjoy doing these, and it's nice to get the interaction and the questions from everyone else. So. Yeah. And it gives us an excuse to chit-chat for an hour.
I know, right? So seek joy, y'all. Pass it on.
Many blessings to everyone.
And good night.